Oh. No, it appears as if I have fallen through the ceiling. Can somebody help me? My legs are sticking out of the ceiling. This isn't very good. How did this happen? Welcome to the video, everybody.
Hi, I'm yet another white guy in front of a green screen on the internet. Console wars. Something that's happened in gaming pretty much ever since it's been around. Nintendo versus Sega, PS5 versus Xbox. And this type of thing's been going on basically since the beginning of gaming itself. And this is how it's always been. The three gaming nations, Nintendo, PS5, and Xbox. But a new console has entered the ring. A new company has announced a new console to take on the current gen of the lineup of consoles currently available. And what if I were to tell you it was Atari? Those guys. Okay, so Atari announced a new console known as the Atari VCS, meant to rival current gen hardware, funded through Kickstarter, which raised a little bit of change, and it's meant to combat the current gen of consoles. It's meant to be a modern installment of the console race. And you know it's modern because it runs on Linux. But before I even get into talking about the console and what it does, we need to know what it looks like. For some reason, console developers recently have decided that every console needs to look like some sort of appliance. I don't know why. Atari has followed this fashion. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to the brand new Atari Grill. This is a bad design. Now, all I'm saying about all of these ridges is it's making me want to go out back with some boys and grill up a couple patties and just watch the game. Also, this is real. This is not some like Xbox 720 voodoo shit. This is the real console that Atari has announced. But what's a good console without controllers? Because it would be a little bit weird if they sold a console with no controllers. The VCS comes with 2 controllers, which is pretty cool. Two different types of controllers, I should say. They're not the same controller. I like to refer to them as modern and what the fuck. This company has the weirdest obsession with the joystick and single button controller. The Steam controller is a very controversial game controller, yet I would argue that it is a better designed controller, which is saying something. And one last thing about the controller, they managed to put ridges on it. They managed to put ridges on a controller. At least the Xbox one looks cool. I haven't been completely honest, because I've been talking about this console like it was just announced. And you'd probably think up to this point that this console has either recently been announced or is just about to come out, as you've definitely never heard of the Atari VCS before. The VCS was announced kind of a while ago, and that's primarily because a lot of delays. So the first one was soon after the console's announcement. They postponed the launch due to the fact that they wanted to make it 4K and put Netflix on it, because that requires so much more technology. The VCS was postponed a second time in late 2019 because Atari didn't pay its employees. Atari, you can't do that. That's against the law. And then, of course, because the world hates everybody, it was delayed because of COVID as well, because why wouldn't it have been? Everybody already knows that the VCS is the most sleek and up-to-date console of this generation. But what if I were to tell you that its exclusives revolved around games that look like mobile games for a rotary phone? Atari has decided to make its exclusives similar to that of a classic console, which was popular a few years ago and still kind of is, but only Nintendo really did it right. I don't know who would ever want to play these, but somebody would, I think. And then on top of all of this, it's also a PC, kind of. Okay, wait a minute. This is Atari we're talking about. This is a big company. So why are they using crowdfunding to make a console? Atari's last console was the Atari Jaguar in the 90s, and then they went bankrupt. Okay, so who made this? So Hasbro, the toy company, bought Atari after they went bankrupt, keeping the brand alive, but they're not really Atari anymore. It's kind of like Polaroid, how they still make cameras, but they also make phone chargers. So Atari's not really Atari if you think about it. In conclusion, the Atari VCS, a next generation console that has been crowdfunded and will probably never come out. But it does a lot. It can play streaming services, whatever the fuck this is, and Fortnite. Overall, the VCS, it's a pretty terrible idea for a console. I've been given a lot of flack, but I do think it has its own place in gaming as a nice budget option for those broke gamers, not unlike myself, to be honest. Wait a minute, what's that? It's $400. Never mind. What are you thinking, Atari? Get out of here with this terrible, terrible idea. If I'm gonna grill with the boys, I'm gonna just do it somewhere else. Hello, the future called and they said you're lame?